What is up? It's Captain Steins.
And I'm McCoy.
And we are here to talk about this wonderful feminist named Anita Kardashian.
No, wait, I thought it was Anita Sacramento.
Wait, Anita Sargento.
No, it's
That's a fucking cheese.
No, wait. Oh, it's Anita Sarkeesian.
That's right, Anita Sarcastic Bitch.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Alright, we're gonna watch a video of her today called Lingerie.
Lingerie isn't armor.
Lingerie isn't armor. Started a fundraiser campaign and got, I don't even remember, $260,000 fucking dollars.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Donated to her.
Yeah.
To start a channel called
Feminist Frequency.
Fuck Your Facts is what it says. That's what the channel should be called.
She's a con artist. I'm just gonna be real.
She done stole all your fucking money, people.
Enjoy. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Do not watch it if you are a fan of Feminist Frequency.
A few years earlier, Eidos Interactive's Lara Croft had rapidly become one of the most famous and recognizable game characters of all time, so it was reasonable to think that an action game with a female protagonist could be a smash hit. Alas, Joanna Dark never quite reached the levels of fame occupied by Lara Croft, but Perfect Dark was still a big success. Let's take a look at a commercial for the game.
Welcome to 2023. Big businesses now merge with alien nations.
It's supposed to be sexist.
An ancient war is being fought under the sea. The president is about to be cloned. And it's your job to try and save the world. So you've got an important decision to make. What are you going to wear to work?
Can you imagine an ad exactly like this, only with Marcus Phoenix or Master Chief getting out of bed naked, taking a sexy slow motion shower, putting on his sexy underwear?
No, because they're men. Duh.
And the narrator saying that he has an important decision to make. What is he gonna wear to work?
No, don't want to see men getting dressed. Dude, that's
Welcome
gross.
to 2016. There's a war out there. Somewhere. You're not sure where exactly. Anyway, the important thing is you're Special Agent Jake Grimshadow. It's your job to save the world. The only question is, what are you going to wear? Wait, what? What?
A commercial like that would never happen, nor should it. But Joanna is treated differently than her male counterparts.
Treated differently than her male counterpart.
Even though Perfect Dark is a first-person shooter, and as a result you rarely see her in the game itself, by focusing on her getting dressed, this ad encouraged players to think of Joanna's appeal as being rooted in her sexual desirability, rather than her skill as a special agent.
They're taking that shit completely out of context.
A character's clothing is one of the first things we notice. It's an important part of our first impression of who that character is, and as such, it's a way for designers to immediately communicate to players what is most important and noteworthy about them.
Do you know of any characters that you can fucking remember their clothing from any game?
No, that's
Except
creepy.
for like
That's
maybe
creepy.
fucking Super Mario?
Yeah.
Female heroes in video games might be special agents or soldiers or treasure hunters by trade. They often find themselves in dangerous, physically demanding situations, fighting off bad guys and saving the world. They are typically performing activities that call for practical or protective clothing. But when we look at the types of outfits that female characters are made to wear, we can see that they're both sexualized and completely absurd.
This crazy fucking bitch.
Ivy from the Soul Calibur games is a bold warrior who finds herself in battles where sharp, deadly weapons are being used and protective armor would be a must, but the clothing she wears, or lack thereof, is not exactly intended to keep her safe.
Of course not, because she's fake. What the fuck?
Cammy from the Street Fighter series is a British Special Forces operative whose thong leotard does a better job of calling attention to her butt than of offering any kind of protection.
It's not okay not to show off your legs.
Jessica
huh?
Sharawat from
It's not
Resident
okay?
Evil Revelations is a member of the Bioterrorism Security Assessment Alliance and regularly faces deadly infected mutants in combat. But her outfits appear to be designed for... yeah, I don't even know.
I don't even know what the fuck is up with you.
What the fuck?
And this is just a small fraction of the vast number of female characters who are forced into impractical and objectifying clothing while in dangerous situations.
You will learn respect.
You're a fool to come back here.
All right, let's begin.
Victory. And instead of donning a breastplate, you
Really?
dash into
The
battle.
What
Witcher-
makes it even worse is she doesn't even play these fucking games. She just takes the clips from other people's fucking footage.
Because clothing can shape our first impressions of a character and has a tremendous influence on our sense of who they are every time they're on screen, sexualized outfits can contribute to what's called the hypersexualization of female characters.
What the fuck?
Hypersexualization in the media occurs when a character is designed to be valued primarily for their sexual characteristics or behaviors. In hypersexualized characters, these attributes are highlighted above all else and made the center of attention.
Well, women do like to be the center of attention. I'm just saying.
However,
I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
It's not.
While everything else about the character is made secondary. Games and other media often work to frame this sexualization as a positive thing for women. They blur the distinction between female sexualization and female power, and as a result, sexualized female characters are sometimes celebrated for being perceived as owning their sexuality in a way that's empowering. But it isn't actually empowering, because the sexuality these characters exude is manufactured for and presented as existing for the presumed straight male player.
Okay, Anita, I'm gonna be real and say this. Have you ever been to a convention? Women dress up like this. It's called cosplay. They have the choice to wear this stuff.
Exactly.
This is what you're saying is total bullshit.
It don't make no sense
Yes.
whatsoever.
Yes. You and your feminism need.
Oh my god.
No, just keep on.
Bayonetta is a quintessential example of such a character. When the camera caresses her body as it does in the opening scene of Bayonetta 2, establishing the player's relationship with the character, she's frozen in time, the passive object of the male gaze. The camera is putting her and Jean on display for the player, breaking them down into what the game is communicating is most important about them, their sexualized parts. And when Bayonetta starts moving, it's the player who has the power to control her sexuality as a weapon throughout the game, both literally and figuratively. She has an assortment of special moves called torture attacks, which involve devices meant to suggest BDSM and look like something you might expect to see in an exaggerated stereotype of a sex dungeon. But these sexualized moves have nothing to do with sex, they just obliterate her enemies. And a number of her attacks literally leave her naked, because you see she's attacking the enemies with her hair, and her hair is also her clothing, so when she's using her hair to attack her enemies, it can't be covering her body, and...
You breathe deep like that one more time, bitch. One more time. Please, God. I don't think they heard you.
In these ways, the game deliberately links Bayonetta's sexuality to power, selling a version of sexual objectification that we're all supposed to feel good about and find empowering. Every aspect of Bayonetta's existence, from the way the camera is magnetically drawn to her sexualized body parts to the pole dance reward for completing the game, is expertly designed to be sexually affirming and satisfying for a presumed straight male audience. If it seems like I'm frequently repeating the fact that the player is presumed to be a straight male, that's because it's vital to remember. This presumption influences and shapes so many creative decisions that are made in the development of many games.
What the fuck?
Some gaming fans have come up with all sorts of ridiculous defenses for the sexualized costumes female characters are often made to wear, like the idea that they dress in these outfits as a tactic to help them distract their male opponents. It's not unheard of for developers to sometimes rely on this harmful logic too.
It's a game.
Exactly. They're fucking fake characters. How about let's talk about fucking women over in fucking third world countries getting their goddamn heads cut off.
If they get stripped off, they get cut off.
Let's talk about that shit instead of fucking fake characters in a video game.
Sometimes, however, as in the case of Quiet for Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain, developers build convoluted and absurd tales about a character's past into the game in an attempt to justify their blatant sexualization.
She, refuses to wear clothes. The last staff member who tried to dress her, breathing through tubes. Other than that, she's completely cooperative. She understands English, but she never speaks, sweats, or breathes.
What?
Well, not with lungs, at least. She breathes through her skin. Clothing would suffocate her. Showers are okay, but she can't be submerged.
What's wrong with her?
She's drinking through her skin.
So, you see, she can't wear clothing because she breathes through her skin.
Yeah, that's cool as shit. And you're a bitch for saying anything about it. She's a skin breather.
These ludicrous narrative justifications don't make it okay, regardless of whatever absurd explanation a game might provide.
She's against skin breathers.
It should go without saying that the only real functionality of outfits like this is to titillate the presumed young
This crazy fucking bitch.
that are tossed out to defend the impractical and objectifying clothing that women are made to wear in games. There's one in particular that I hear the most often, and that's perhaps the most pernicious. That argument is, maybe that's what she wants to wear. Which is ridiculous.
Fruition. I can throw out big words too. Shut the fuck up.
These women are fictional constructs. That means they don't dress themselves or pick out their own clothing. And I can't believe I have to say this. All these visual designs are deliberate choices made by the developers.
Exactly. That is their fucking art. If they want to fucking dress them completely fucking naked, they can.
And they serve a specific purpose. They communicate to straight male players that these characters exist primarily as sex objects to be consumed. In doing so, they also reinforce the larger notion in our culture that the value of real human women is determined largely by their sexual desirability to men.
This crazy fucking bitch.
It's not hard to imagine what more practical clothing options might look like for some of these characters. But if you're having a hard time envisioning that, I'll let you in on a little secret. For those of you who aren't familiar, there's this thing called a sports bra. Sports bras are designed to keep breasts held in place to better facilitate athletic activities. In other words, they're used to prevent jiggle physics in real life.
Jiggle physics. Every man's favorite thing. Jiggle physics.
Wow.
In the real world, there are many female martial artists, athletes, and women in combat roles that developers could use as inspiration when designing and dressing their female characters. It's important to note that the amount of skin shown is not the crux of the problem. Many female athletes wear minimal, form-fitting clothing because it's more conducive to their activities. However, their outfits are not designed with the primary goal of sexualizing the athletes for the benefit of spectators. The problem of female characters wearing impractical, sexualized, and objectifying attire and being put on display for players is not a difficult one to solve, and developers already know how to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that's fascinating. That's the dumbest thing you ever come up with.
None of this is to say that characters in games should never be sexual. Far from it.
What the fuck?
Sexuality and sexualization are very different things. The sexualization of female characters is about designing them, dressing them, or framing them in ways that are specifically intended to be sexually appealing to presumed male viewers or players. Women's sexuality, on the other hand, exists for themselves and for those that they care to consensually share it with. And sexuality can be expressed or experienced in any kind of attire.
Number one, we love women. We don't hate women. But this fucking crazy bitch needed to be called out, okay?
When fictional female characters in games are dressed in impractical armor or clothing, it encourages players to view them as sex objects, and reinforces the already pervasive and harmful notion in our culture that sexualization is the most viable or only real route to power for women. By contrast, when those characters are dressed in clothing that is truly practical and functional for the work that they're doing, and when they express sexuality and sexual desire in ways that aren't served up as sexualized treats designed primarily for straight male players to consume and enjoy, it encourages players of all genders not to view those characters as sexual objects, but to be invested in them as people.
Anita Sarkeesian is a fucking fraud, and she has stolen an assload of money from you people. An assload of money.
And I feel sorry for you, but we have to tell it as it is. Women, if you want to show it off, then that's on you.
Feel free.
Yeah.
Go for it.
We don't judge. She wants you to be like one of those Saudi Arabian women.
I mean, we hope you guys like this, and hopefully we don't get a bunch of hate for this, because I'm sure it's going to come from her fan base, since they did give her fucking over $200,000
and use you guys for no reason.
God bless. Oh, you know what I could do with $200,000? Son of a bitch. We could make y'all the most beautiful videos you've ever seen.
Yeah.
All right. We appreciate you guys. Y'all have fun. Fuck feminists.
Yeah.
Later.